Okay. Well, let's just get straight into it, yeah? A lot of you guys in the VR Citizen community are really eager to hear some good news, because lately things haven't been so good. Well, here is some great news. This is from the Quantum Vegas 2955, Tech Tools with Sean Tracy. So,
you know, AI has emerged since the launch of Star Citizen.
Sure.
You know, VR has taken steps for a lot of us, not enough steps, but VR has taken. Are there any other things like that, technology-wise, that you go, we want to make sure Star Citizen intersects that?
Well, AI. Okay, let's cover the other ones, then we'll come back to AI because it's a longer one. So, like VR, obviously we've talked about it a million times, right? It's something we want. We just don't prioritize it ahead of everything else. So it will still be coming back to that. It's not the. I think there's some tests even going on in the next month or two for them to be doing tests on it. It's funny because the engine actually natively supports VR. Like,
all right, cool. So there you go. Big point number one, you guys. Native VR internal tests in a month or two. So if you guys were looking for something to look forwards to, it's not that we're going to get VR, but they are actually testing internally within a month or two. Even if that means in 6 months from now, I honestly, in my opinion, that's better than like the 1 to 2 to 3 years down the line that and I think many of you, even the most fervent, viewers in the VR Citizen community out there, I'm pretty sure that this is a lot faster of a timeline than any of us would have expected. This is, dare I say, fast enough of a timeline that they might be able to get VR working with Squadron 42 before it ship. Maybe even get it out for a post-launch release type of situation. Either way, I think we're going to see VR in Arena Commander a lot sooner than later. When I say that Star Citizen is going to have VR support sooner than later, we are finally in the sooner phase. We are no longer in the later phase. So I think that this is a great step in the right direction and a great day to rejoice if you're a VR citizen out there. Whether you own a headset, plan to own a headset, have already just bought a headset to not be able to use it, or anywhere in between. With that being said, let's continue with the interview and let's get to a couple of points that I've always been saying for a decade now. One of them is that the engine isn't going to take an entire rework to get VR working for it. VR works with the engine. It always has. It's been built from the ground up with it in mind. All they got to do is flip a couple of switches and actually focus and turn it on.
It even has some of the C-VARs are still sitting around for like VR. Like it for them to be doing tests on it. It's funny because the engine actually natively supports VR. Like it even has some of the C-VARs are still sitting around for like
natively supports like VR.
Oh, it doesn't work. The render is totally different now.
Okay.
But it's a lot of the support is still there. So it the biggest problem with doing the VR support is going to be the dual render. It's
very costly.
We did this thing in Crisis for Crisis 2 or Crisis 3 for stereo, this post stereo effect, so that we didn't have to fully render both scenes to do the stereo effect. We did this reprojection of a scene, but
stereoscopic reprojection, exactly what fucking Vorpax does. Like, oh my gosh, everybody's been saying for decades. For a decade, it feels like that. It's not actual VR. Like, bitch, this is the same shit that they used to fucking do in the Crytek engine. This is actually a really great video. If you guys haven't seen the whole thing, I'll link it down below in the description. But he goes through a whole bunch of stuff, and one of the things was licensing Star Engine, which I fervently said every time this is brought up, they're never going to do that because they would have to pay for CIG devs to maintain the engine for other developers. They would spend all of their money, just like Crytek did, helping solve issues that other developers have and not actually doing their own stuff, which is exactly what he said he spent all of his time at Crytek doing, and which is why he says that he's on the first at the top of the list of people denying and not wanting to license Star Engine or any of its parts, because then they would have to help fix and put out fires, and that's all he did at Crytek, which is what I've always assumed was the issue of why they went down. Anyways, and this is all just me going like, see, I fucking told you so.
There was, little problems, but it was really fast. We won't be able to do that with VR. You have of a scene, but there was, little problems.
So this reprojection.
In fact, we did the stereo effect, so that we didn't have to fully render both scenes to do the stereo effect. We did this reprojection of a scene, but there was little problems, but it was really fast. We won't be able to do that with VR. You have to do the dual render. So just think of rendering twice. That sucks, right? If you're already running at 30, you're going to be running at 15.
Right.
So yeah, VR, that's something we want to get to, but once it's kind of there and done and we've got the resources to apply to it. Where I see game tech and game development going is a unification of tech, right? Where we're getting down to very few engines at this point.
All right, so that's pretty much it for, VR. That he goes into a whole bunch of other stuff. Again, this is a great video. You should check it out in the link down below. But I think the big takeaways is that internal VR tests in the next month or two. So Soon.TM, finally, I would say. After that, the engine is built with VR in mind and will not need a complete rework to get it up and running. So that's not going to, take a shitload of dev costs and, engine developers and whatnot to actually do it. And then, yeah, maybe, just maybe this will all be in time for Squadron 42. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you guys want to help me out, help me beat the algorithm by doing the voodoo that you do, by liking, commenting, subscribing, and all of that jazz wherever you see me live, whether it's here on Twitch or YouTube. I'm actually going to try to start streaming live to YouTube now that we aren't streaming in VR anymore as much. We can still do Arena Commander offline, and I've actually started my racing career. But with that being said, expect to see a lot kind of slower of a pace of me uploading videos. I'm no longer going to try to maintain like Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 a.m. because there's just not enough VR Citizen content. We will be doing some other stuff, like maybe me doing VR iRacing, maybe some Tarkov, maybe just, a couple of things here and there. With that being said, those of you that are watching and still hanging out and being amazing and doing the voodoo that you do out there every day, trying to be a VR citizen in these dire times, thank you for sticking with me, and thank you for being here now, but also into the future as we get native VR support. Again, closer than ever. So, I'd always said time and tide. Well, finally the tide is coming in our favor. All right, with that being said, I'm gonna get up out of here, and I'm probably gonna play some Tarkov, maybe some PoE, maybe some iRacing live on stream. And then this entire weekend, we're gonna be trying to focus and doing the cargo missions and getting the event done. So if you're wanting to get some cargo for the event, holler at us. We might have found a really cheeky way to do it easily without having to actually do the missions. With that being said, thank you guys for all your support. I wouldn't be here without it. Until next time, as always, stay safe, fly right. I'm Chachi Sanchez. Y'all have a good night. Bye.
Some internal engines, but very few. There's very few internal engines. It's like, less than 20 in terms of the entire.
Cerveza cristal, cerveza